finally see I am not who I've believed myself to be. I must be determined to see beyond this world that was made to blind me, by hiding the key that would open up the door of my heart to where I know you really are. I can't believe I've been searching for so long outside for what was already mine. You told me over and over that I was your son, but I couldn't hear it. Finally I took a chance and I gave you my life, and you gave me forgiveness. It is time to open my mind to all the love that I've been running from. It is mine to finally receive, so I will let it in, let it overtake me. I have the key that will open up the door of my heart to where I know you really are. I can't believe I've been searching for so long outside for what was already mine. You told me over and over that I was your son, but I couldn't hear it. Finally I took a chance and I gave you my life, and you gave me forgiveness. I'm in your heart for always, and I cannot leave. I'm in your heart for always, and I cannot leave. 'Cause there ain't nowhere else to go. I can't leave. 'Cause there ain't nowhere else to go. It is time to finally see I am not who I've believed myself to be. I can't believe I've been searching for so long outside for what was already mine. You told me over and over that I was the one, and I couldn't hear it. Finally I took a chance and I gave you my life, and you gave me forgiveness. You gave me forgiveness. You gave me forgiveness. Yeah, you gave me forgiveness. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to another beautiful, beautiful weekend of the way of Jesus. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Eric, and I'll be your host this evening. For those of you who do know me, you may notice my face looks a little different. I shaved my face, and you'll know why in a little while. But I do want to, I do want to share with you. This weekend is going to be well. Tonight we have a beautiful session for you. Tomorrow, of course, we have a movie with David. It's a movie I absolutely love, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And I believe we even will have a dance party tomorrow evening. So yeah, so tomorrow the movie will start at 9 a.m. and the dance party would start at 6 a.m. Those are Central Standard Time or Central Mexico time. But yeah, this evening is going to be very deep and very beautiful. Before I turn it over to our presenters, I just want to mention one logistical thing, which is that tonight we will have some testimonials in Spanish from some of our friends in Spanish. And so those of you who only speak English, you will need to turn on your English translation feature. So that video we play at the beginning, make sure you go to the globe icon in your Zoom settings and select English. And that way you'll be sure to hear the English translation of that. So without further ado, I'd like to next turn it over to Emily, and she's going to share a bit more about this evening and how beautiful it's going to be. So thank you, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Just want to put on gallery view so I can see you all. Yeah, we are going to have a wonderful session this evening. There have been so many collaborations that have happened this week in order to bring this session together. It's going to have lots of different parts, probably more parts than we've had in any other session that we've ever done. So it took a lot to bring it together, but we had a lot of fun. It's going to be very deep. We're going to have some comedy skits. We're going to have some miracle shares. We are going to have very unique levels of mind. We're going to have some more music as well. So I think it's going to be a really, really beautiful evening, very heart opening. And to start us off with, I'm actually going to hand it over to Jason, and he's going to share about the levels of mind that he's going to do today, which is a little different than some of the levels of mind you might have seen him do before, but is going to be very deep in the same way. So yeah, enjoy the session, and I'll see you in a bit.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're going to have a bang tonight. We got one more next week, but it's like we're going to go out with a bang for this one tonight, but we still got one more. But I feel like I should let you know that we're going to do a levels of mind for the world tonight. So if you can imagine, like the world wanted to ask some questions, or you've had questions about certain things that maybe we've never talked about here. We're attempting to have them presented in skits and comedy and different issues, and have the answer come through in a variety of ways. The answer will come through with some talking, with some testimonials, and some comedy. So the overall view is a giant levels of mind without going through every single A, B, C, and D. And then we'll answer it. And it was like Saturday Night Live to get this ready. Everybody today was just like, how are we gonna, okay, cut that, do this, okay, we can do this. So it really felt like a bunch of us were on the set of Saturday Night Live. So with that, I'm going to welcome on I can do that now, Emily? Okay, I'm going to welcome on my first guest, is the world, also known as Mother Earth. So come on up, there she is. You're muted, Mother Earth.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, everyone. Yes, it is the world. Also, I'm known as Mother Earth. I am your mother. And I must say that you have not been treating me very well lately. I normally am a very spiritual being, very peaceful normally. I'm often quoted as saying, I am the world and the world is me, because that was attributed to Krishnamurti, but he got it from me. But yeah, I have been having a lot of grievances coming up lately with the people who are on me, and honestly, it's exhausting having this many people on me at once. It's like they're just trampling all over my face. And so I filled out a Levels of Mind, Jason, for you. It's about 6.2 billion pages long, but maybe you can help me with some of it. I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for being my first guest. We've never had someone like you here before. So let's go through the levels of mind. Then we like to dive right in. When I think about what's the main grievance you'd like to bring?
Well, my main grievance is all the conflict, all the competition happening in the world. I am just sick and tired of all the competition I see. I mean, I've got a war in Iran going on. I've got protests about the war in Iran. I've got protests about the war in Iran. I have got people fighting about gender rights. I've got people fighting about transgender rights. I've got people fighting about like which bathroom a transgender person should be able to use, whether transgender men should be able to compete in women's sports. I mean, are these really the most important issues of our day? I don't even know what people are mad about anymore, but they are very, very committed to it.
Oh, that's great. I'm so glad somebody brought that up. Like you said, you are the world and the world is you. So let's go into this. We'll go into the idea of competition in a very deep way. So let's go to step B. When you think about the war in Iran and the people competing and fighting over gender rights and bathrooms,
I feel angry. I mean, my people are always preoccupied about things that don't really matter. They're just on the surface of things. I mean, why are we worrying about who goes into what bathroom? I mean, for me, it's all the same. Everyone's just crapping all over me, and you don't see me putting up a hissy fit every day. So I think we could just maybe stop competing and fighting to begin with. That's how I feel. I feel very angry.
Okay, great. So when you think about all this, who's to blame?
Oh, I mean, definitely the people are to blame. I mean, I think the people, and also I'm afraid that if they keep doing what they're doing, they will destroy me or at least make me look very ugly. And I do prefer to stay as beautiful as possible, as you can see. So yeah, I think the people are to blame.
Okay, great. Well, let's go on. So I'd like to read you a paragraph. It's coming to my mind from A Course in Miracles. Would that be okay?
Yeah, okay. I'll try to take it in.
Okay. It's from Lesson 22, What I See as a Form of Vengeance. And here's the first paragraph. Today's idea accurately describes the way anyone who holds attack thoughts in his mind must see the world. Having projected his anger onto the world, he sees vengeance about to strike at him. His own attack is thus perceived as self-defense. This becomes an increasingly vicious circle until he's willing to change how he sees. Otherwise, like what you're going through, thoughts of attack and counterattack will preoccupy him and people his entire world. You get that? You see that? Jesus is using people as a verb, where he's saying that you peopled your entire world. What do you think of that?
Okay. So you're saying that I peopled myself?
Yes,
Is that what
because,
you're saying?
The ego made up the whole cosmos, including the world. And remember, your mind. And you just projected actually the world and the people in order to hide these grievances. So I want to go deeper now. These thoughts and feelings prove your right that
they are destructive and I should get rid of them. I think Jason, can I admit something to you here? I've actually tried to get rid of all the people many, many, many times. I feel a little ashamed of saying that, but I've tried everything. I've tried hurricanes, I've tried tsunamis, I tried a global pandemic, I tried global warming, and then people just started arguing about whether it even existed. And so, yeah, I feel like at this point I either need to choose some kind of forgiveness or I'm going to start another ice age.
oh, we don't want that. So it's always better if we can stop at the thoughts before they cease. Reflected out there in such a crazy way. So thank you, Mother Earth, for coming on. You can now go bask in space. We're going to take it deeper now with everyone, since you and the world are in camp.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm so glad we got to try this in a new way. But really, this really just brought me into the idea of what is competition, because these thoughts have been ruminating around in the mind. And I thought about it one day. What is competition? Like, I really just sat down. What is it? Okay, you play sports with somebody and you're competing, or I think what really triggered it one day is, what's all this controversy around men, biological men, trying to transition into a woman and then wanting to compete in the women's category. And of course, you probably all know there's all these different sides. But I just felt on a very deep level that there is no answer there. The answer is in the belief in competition. So what is competition? And then I started thinking about it further. Well, why do people even feel there's something good about it? Like, everybody rallies around these NFL games or soccer or football in the rest of the world, and there's wars at these games. What is it that they like? And at the core level, I started to see that, well, it's valued because it seems to provide ambition. You then have a reason to get up, to go do something. I'll compete with somebody else. I have a reason to live. I can be a success. And you could say in some way that if you're extremely depressed, okay, there's a tiny little value there, but let's take a look at what would happen if you didn't have competition. Okay, under the egos, guys, you would have a monopoly. You would have Microsoft just selling bad products to everybody that they don't want and charging a lot of money. You'd have nation states, just like you have in the movies, these dystopian movies where the nation states just take over if, okay, there's no competition. So you could say that, okay, maybe it's better to have competition. Bring in Google, bring in OpenAI, so that, okay, all the other companies don't just take over, and you seem to have, okay, good, well, they're going to do it. That brings in a certain amount of fairness. But really, it's still the ego trying to fake equality or exchange true equality, for something in the world. And then I started thinking, well, actually, the ego wants everything. Why does the ego even allow competition to run if it just wants everything? Why can't it make a system that just wants everything? And then I found this quote in the course. So if the ego, this isn't the quote, but if the ego just went after everything, it would arouse so much anger because it was vicious or arrogant, and it would be seen or let go of. And from ACIM, this is the quote: the ego would prefer to attack directly and avoid delaying what it really wants. Yet the ego acknowledges reality as it sees it and recognizes that no one could interpret direct attack as love. Yet to make guilty is direct attack, although it does not seem to be. So this competition, this watering things down, and, well, it's good, you're going for it here, you best man get the job, the American dream. It's all just watered down the ego's drive to directly make everybody and everything guilty. So that's going to be like a theme underneath all of this, is how do we let this guilt up and heal it? And that's the awakening journey. Is I've seen for myself that as soon as I think I'm being honest or I want to go deeper with something, it's like this thought just comes up and it wants to attack, it wants to project it out there. And it just takes everything we have at times to say, I don't know my own best interests. Help me see this differently. Nothing I see means anything. I can be hurt by nothing but my thoughts. And ultimately, trust is the answer. So then I thought, okay, even when you go out and you make a purchase, is there competition underneath that? Well, actually it is, because the ego would want to get everything and pay little, and even says that in the course, that you are always trying to maximize what you get and give away as little as you can. So that's why whenever you go out and you live under the realm of reciprocity, you're actually keeping guilt going. Like, did I get enough for what I paid? And then, you kind of get a little altruistic. Did they get enough? I don't want to screw them either. But underneath it, because the purpose of the interaction is to exchange or get, like the skit we just watched 2 nights, I forget now, but 2 nights ago, David watched the skit with us done by a group in Wisconsin years ago. And it was a really beautiful skit about exchange. It's the name of the game. And the main character was breaking free. And all of the guilt and anger that was underneath this, even his marriage, was based on exchange. But the purpose of our interactions to going into a store or getting married is not to have exchange. It's to see the Christ. It's to give. So we're going to have a lot of parables tonight that are going to help emphasize how to make that shift from the ego's getting mechanism to the ego's to the Spirit's giving. Because true collaboration is what we practice in this community. And I still think of worldly things like, what if Google and Meta and China all got together just to create an AI that served everybody, a beneficial? But all the fears are, what if it is going to take over the world? But again, that's only because competition is driving this. Even Sam Altman, the head of OpenAI, which is basically runs ChatGPT, said, we got to throw everything we got at. We got to spend trillions of dollars. We got to forget about our people and electricity usage. We got to get AI, because if we don't do it, if we don't get what they call general AI, meaning AI, computer that thinks for itself, if we don't get that, China will. This is the attitude underlying corporations and competition, is this driving force, and we're going the other way. Like in that scene in Revolver, it says, the more power you think you have in Gold's world, in the ego world, the less power you have in the real world. And so David always says, it's like an eclipse. You either see the sun or the moon on an eclipse, but one can completely block out the other. So I don't know how much to go into it, but I even was just thinking even of democracy. It's like the spreading out of the power, which is a symbol of equality, but really it's just watered down control. Look at how the now failing American system, which really kind of had some good ideas underneath it, they're not keeping their shared agreements that all men are created equal, and competition is getting higher and higher. And the autocrats are loving it. but we really want to go deeper. How do we undo all of this? And the word I heard, I was on a plane, was sharing. Sharing is how we're going to undo all this. And the funny thing is, sharing is extremely radical to the world. If you talk about sharing funds, or you talk about, it's fine, you can share a piece of cake or share a house with your wife, maybe your kids. But as soon as you start sharing maybe a house without, okay, you can do your elderly parents, but what if you start sharing in a little bit more global way? Well, on a global scale, oh, that's socialism, that's communism. But let's go deeper. What if just as brothers and sisters, we just start sharing with each other? Well, then the thoughts start coming up. Be careful. Make sure you don't lose everything. Make sure you don't give away everything. So when I was praying about sharing, I heard it's being willing to put communication first, because you don't really know what the real needs are until you communicate. And I put real because we're still working on the realm of guidance and being done through. So we all collect, we all try to get the things we need because we're afraid of sharing, but it's not we're actually afraid of sharing. It's because what I'm seeing is once you say yes to sharing, you have to communicate a lot. And even temporarily, you have to be willing to take a risk. I feel I need this. And, what could that look like? Well, in Canada, you would need heat to survive and warmer houses. Mexico and India, and in my case, I need sun protection. But communicating discovers that, and there's this deep fear of communicating. We would rather isolate and have our own things, only not because we really are afraid of sharing, but we're afraid of communicating. And over the last few months, I've actually seen several examples, even that are our own community, that when it gets right down to it, and the comfort factors are removed, some of the comfort factors are removed, and it means increased communication. The ego gets extremely threatened. But I did want to say that even those needs, like a house or heat, they're not even real needs. Jesus says in the Course in Miracles that never underestimate a quiet mind. Our real need is a quiet, tranquil mind. And that is what we're going for. And I want you to think about this. Ask anyone who's been through a difficult time physically, like a health illness or lost a house, and the things that they had to deal with to recover that in a way or go through it. And maybe compare those physical things to a mental instability. Perhaps you're going through the awakening and you start, which we've seen on some of these retreats, we've seen kind of like a schizophrenia that can come up, like a mental instability. I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what I'm going through. I don't know who to trust. Where's my grounding? Where's my basis? And until you have a direct experience of the Holy Spirit or your true self, it can be very, very, very disorientating. But Jesus does say that everyone on earth has had a glimpse of who they are. It's just impossible. At some level. And I'm going to go into that in a deeper way later about the question, who am I? Even the world now is starting to recognize mental health is much more important than anything else. Even the Princess of Wales and Prince Harry and and Princess of Wales, her husband, I'm not too familiar with all that, but Harry, they're all joined in a mental health foundation. But nobody really knows what mental health is. And for sure, no one knows how to fix it. They all are starting to emphasize communication. But what Jesus tells us, David reminded me of again last night, all illness is actually mental illness, and all healing is inner peace. So the world thinks of mental health as make sure you get your brain chemistry right and you're stable in a world. And we're going through something much deeper where we're going to go through an instability. So there are helpful tools that will encourage communication, but only the Holy Spirit can truly heal. And I was thinking of that. Yiska talked about it a while back, because this idea of comparison came into my mind. Even on the spiritual journey, we start trying to compete with each other. Like, am I happier than somebody else? Or have they got this before me? But all of these are really just defenses to being open yourself and the vulnerability that takes. Because it's hard to just constantly be open about my thoughts. And then, of course, you get into discernment lessons like, am I even guided to say this? And to say it to who? And so you're practicing discernment, even with your thoughts of what to speak, once you've got over the hurdle of no private thoughts. But it's still not just about saying all your thoughts. So we're gonna get into some of the parables, but I had one thing to share about that. Was when I was in Europe, I was, a few years ago, actually during the pandemic, I had the leadership concept strongly in my mind, and it got stripped from me. It was very hard, but the ego had, sorry. The ego had made, this usually happens when I'm doing the levels of mind with one person, but now I'm doing it for the world. The ego had made a concept of it, and I couldn't breathe, and I didn't know how to get out of it because I thought that the world that I had accepted, like community, was everything, and that I had done everything right. So how am I going to get out of something if I'm the one who's supposed to leave myself out? And you can't. That's why Jesus says, resign as your own teacher. But what does that look like? What does it really look like? So I wanted to find out what it looked like. So nobody told me to do this, but I stripped myself of all community. I stripped myself of all community concepts in the sense that I wasn't going to do anything, which is, funnily enough, one of our guidelines, no people pleasing. I wasn't going to do anything unless I truly felt it. I gave myself permission not to have to do anything. And I wasn't going to complain. I wasn't going to try to orchestrate things. But I sure as heck was not going to compromise on making sure I didn't do something that I didn't feel. So that's where Spirit came from. Spirit was a website, I put on the front page, how do I feel? So every day for years, I was working on that website, how do I feel? So I'd have to check in because I was so out of touch with my feelings. I was not interested in what other people wanted me to do unless I felt it. And I would say no. I truly did want to give, though, but I wanted to make sure I was giving from a real place, not from the ego's conditioning, where altruism, and I always felt I was like Mother Teresa. I could, I lived in Kosovo and Albania, and I worked in third world countries, and I did all that. But I didn't know how to transfer that kind of a giving on a form level to one of the lessons I learned through that was that I should never again try to change something in form, but always take it back internally. And, that's a journey. So I did want to give, but there was an intense amount of fear that was coming up out of this crack of letting go of leadership. I don't know why this is so, I've told this before. Anyways, so I had to learn how and constantly put my state of mind and feeling, but I couldn't trust my state of mind because there was an incredible amount of anxiety. And a lot of people coming into community will say, when they're here, well, I need to feel it. I need to feel the guidance. And I can't tell you how many times that, when the people come to the community, they finally feel great to practice no people pleasing. But we're also a community where we all tune into each other and actually can hear guidance and can deliver guidance that's very helpful for you to follow in order to undo the arrogance of the ego and the autonomy. So people come, they feel safe, but now they start practicing people pleasing. I don't feel that. I don't feel that. Okay, great. And Colin Dang's a good example. He practiced, I don't feel to make my bed for a month. So he didn't. He didn't make his bed for a month. And he went home and he felt good. He practiced it. But then he had this thought, maybe I missed a deeper lesson. Maybe I was supposed to pray with my brothers and sisters and go deeper. And look at him. You all heard his, well, a lot of you heard his testimony a few weeks ago. He's just gone so deep, trusting and following with Francis, Susanna, and then the Holy Spirit, within him. So I just want to talk a bit about that anxiety that can be felt and explain why the anxiety can come so much up into awakening. And the Course says the ingeniousness of the ego to preserve itself is enormous, but it stems from the very power of the mind the ego denies. It stems from the very power of the mind the ego denies. This means that the ego attacks what it is preserving. This means that the ego attacks what is preserving it, which must result in extreme anxiety. So the ego gets its power because you're this all-powerful mind, but you went into this belief and forgot to laugh. But it comes from the mind, and all the illusions come from that power. But the only way that they can maintain themselves is to I'll keep reading. That is why the ego never recognizes what it is doing. It is perfectly logical, but clearly insane. The ego draws upon the one source that is totally inimical, meaning contrary, to its existence for its existence. Fearful of perceiving the power of this source, it is forced to depreciate it. This threatens its own existence, a state which it finds intolerable. Okay, in order to keep the illusions, you don't know who you are, you're not the Christ, but it's just so intolerable. And that's why anxiety, I live up in Utah most of my time, and the number one problem of that state is depressive medicines to keep anxiety down. So remaining logical, but still insane, the ego resolves this completely insane dilemma in a completely insane way. It does not perceive its existence as threatened by projecting the threat onto you, who you really are, and perceiving your being as non-existent. This ensures its continuance if you side with it, by guaranteeing that you will not know your own safety. So then the whole journey is we have to find ourselves. If we have any hope, we've got to find ourselves and know who we are. But then guess what Jesus even says about that? That question itself. Uncertainty about what you must be is self-deception on a scale so vast, its magnitude can hardly be conceived. To be alive and not to know yourself is to believe that you are really dead. For what is life except to be yourself? And what but you can be alive instead? Who is the doubter? What is it he doubts? Whom does he question? And who can answer him? You go to psychotherapists, psychologists, you go to your family. In some way, every question about anything, even why is it snowing, is who am I? Is who am I? And in the world, meaning if we don't start to question this, the characters, just like the skit with Mother Earth, she peopled the world. All of our interactions are just going to reinforce Shadowland because that's what we set them up to do. So who can answer him? He merely states that he is not himself, and therefore being something else becomes a questioner of what that something is. Yet he could never be alive at all unless he knew the answer. If he asks as if he does not know, it merely shows he does not want to be the thing he is. Sorry, I thought I muted that. I get the mic messed up. He does not want to be the thing he is. And I feel this is a good setup for something that's going to be coming later, because when we start going deeper and deeper, that autonomy will rear its head up, and all the questions are actually statements trying to maintain itself. And only the Holy Spirit can really unwind our mind from this insanity. So I didn't know this was going to be like this, but I think we need some comedy. So I'm going to pass it over to Emily now to introduce the next section of the evening to help us laugh at this insanity.
Thank you, Jason. Yeah, like I said earlier, the last few days there's been a lot of collaborations, and most of them have been around putting some of these comedy skits together. So we already saw Mother Earth earlier, but we have a few more skits that we would like to share with you. And I really feel like the Holy Spirit loves to use humor to relax us, to relax our mind, and yeah, just have us open up so that some of these deep teachings can really sink in a very deep way. And yeah, you know, when you're in a state of laughter, you really can't hold on to taking the world seriously. It's like you see the whole world in a different light. So that was the inspiration behind some of these skits coming in for tonight. And the first one that we're going to show is one around the theme of ownership. So it's a short skit. We'll play that next. And then afterwards, we'll go back to Jason, who's then going to go into this theme of ownership in a much deeper way and really start to deconstruct it so we can see actually what's underneath it. So yeah, we can go ahead and play the clip.
Ownership is a dangerous concept when left to the ego. Oh, so I can't like own anything anymore? Is that what you're saying, David? You're saying I can't even own should I just take my dress off and just give away everything I have? Is that what this is like some kind of crazy, you can't even have an identity anymore. What's going on? Something's bad, very bad is going on. I'm gonna do something about this.
Oh, and a clap. Thank you. I don't know her name, but thank you, Eric. So this is a good time to kind of introduce the idea of divine providence, and maybe even just wrap up something I talked about earlier with the thing in Europe. Is in order to undo that leadership, I had to learn how to support and give to what I valued. So I just started supporting other leaders in the community that helped me take the pressure off that concept. So there was a very specific guidance that came in. So how do we do that when we all seem, or some of us all seem to have these pots of money at home or a house or whatever, and you've got your name on certain things? How are we going to, because not everyone's called to live in community, how are we going to undo all this? Well, let's talk about divine providence. So everyone is technically living in divine providence because it's who you are. That's the ultimate, is you're sourced by Christ. And we've been saying a lot in the community lately, or at least I have, and I've heard David say it. You did not create yourself. I did not create myself. That is peace. That, if you can recognize that, that is the peace. You're no longer responsible for the world. You seem to make it, but as soon as you accept that, then you're only responsible for the correction, which is that you did not create yourself. But divine providence is much more than a person being provided for. So that's the first stage, almost like a honeymoon phase of the course, where you seem to get all of your earthly needs handled. But what I want to go into tonight in a deeper way is, can you be aware that the Holy Spirit can orchestrate everything in your life for your healing? I'm going through that right now. So we have a parable coming soon for you about this. But let's clear up Eric's comment, or we didn't come up with a name for that character, but Eric, let's clear up that what? I can't just own anything, da 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 da. The problem is not a matter of the money, but it's the purpose behind it. And it takes a great amount of honesty to know that what is the purpose underneath any funds that seem to come into your use. When I was first joining the community and was wanting to share my funds 20 years ago and practice stewardship, I had a friend who said, "Well, that's a great idea. I'm going to steward my money too." But he didn't make any different changes. He just labeled a word on it and called it stewardship. But I can say that it takes a lot of practice. It's not just a one-off decision. And so you need to be open to the Spirit's guidance about what kind of practice is going to help you get into stewardship. It's intuitive. Here, like one story, we don't really monitor funds per se. We have, like a very precise admin team. But years ago, when I joined in, there was only 5 of us, and we didn't really monitor funds. But I was overseeing the accounting, so many purchases, internet, house payments, da 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 da. But then it was really funny. I just scanned it, and then out of maybe 30 purchases, one $7 charge stood out. And I always remember this story because I thought, yeah, what is that? But I just let it go. It was still new. And 5 minutes later, David calls me. He's like, "Did you see this $7 charge on this, on the accounting?" And I said, "Yeah, I did." Brought Kirsten in. We had a good talk. And another member of our community had made a purchase out of false sympathy for somebody else. And we then used it for a deeper talk with the whole community, all 5 of us, about the use of funds. But it was amazing to me that the Spirit can pick up on the inaccurate use of funds in such an easy, practical way without getting all manic about it. It was really beautiful for me. So we've already talked about this, but competition is of the ego. It implies there's another source. But this is what waters down divine providence as if it's God taking care of me in the world. It's a powerful step, but it's still just very closely associated to manifesting. It's powerful because of what it implies. This is where the confusion of truth coming to illusion is. Manna falling in the desert thousands of years ago for the Israelis. I'm sure that was like, oh, God loves us. The parting of the Red Sea, or any miracles you can't explain in your own life. It's merely the power of the mind being revealed. But what's more satisfying is the option to feel that there is a source loving you and bringing you the things you seem to need without you thinking about it at all. And we just get to focus on the loving and being loved, because there are people that, oh, God's providing me for, and then they can't take their next step because they seem to have their individual needs met. And it goes so much deeper. So I'm going to pass this over to Helena now, who's going to join with Yiska about a very deep prayer Yiska had to really show how the Spirit could meet a much deeper need around divine providence than just earthly body needs.
Hi. Wow, in a minute. Feels really deep. Yeah. Yeah, let's just go into Yiska. I feel like there's so much in my mind, but I'll share a little bit later. But yeah, maybe we can bring on Yiska because it feels like kind of a collaboration. Hey. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, many of you might know Yiska is kind of overseeing our whole Strawberry Fields Fiesta that's held very, very soon. And I've been linking with Jiska and prayer for the last weeks a little bit more now that we're getting closer to the date of the festival. And yeah, I think it was maybe December or January, Jiska shared this beautiful prayer at a prayer meeting we had with the community when the thought of Strawberry Fields Fiesta came to mind. And Jiska said, oh, because Jiska was traveling in Europe last summer, I think fall summer, and she met a lot of ministers, and she felt such a deep connection in her heart with all the ministers and volunteers all around the world. And Jiska said, oh my God, I want to bring all the ministers together, Strawberry Fields Fiesta in Mexico. It's the perfect opportunity. We can be together and connect. We can connect with the ministers. The ministers can connect with us. The ministers can connect with each other. So she had this beautiful prayer of connection and relaxation also underneath it, which was maybe a little bit less conscious, but definitely the prayer of connection. And so, yeah, this was given for Jiska as a backdrop. And then recently, because we're getting closer to the Strawberry Fields Fiesta, the responsibility was coming up a little bit more and the control was coming up a little bit more. And so Jiska and I had a few more prayer joinings, and maybe Jiska can take it from there.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, I think I was kind of, because I had such a strong vision, but it became kind of into a fantasy of what it should look like in form. And I could see us all being outside here. I could see like the stage, everything was done, the shading was done, and we would all be here. And I had a kind of a very visual idea of what that relaxation would look like. And then we had all these other projects because we prepare for the weekend. We have a web revolution going on. So everyone was kind of being full in different function. And I had a lot of control and responsibility coming up. And I was like, we need to prepare. Everyone needs to be on board with Strawberry. Drop everything else. It's Strawberry.
Before the ministers arrive.
Before the ministers arrive, so that we're ready when they come.
And we have about 18 to 20 ministers arrive to help out with the preparation of Strawberry Fields Fiesta.
That was not relevant in my mind. I was like, we need to be ready. And then, yeah, we were joining, and I needed a shift of mind. And I've had so many times, I've had this prayer of letting go of control, letting go of responsibility, because those are themes for me that keep on showing up. And it was just, I could pray whatever I want, but it wasn't happening, because how do you let go of something that you really believe in, or you don't know the alternative? And then I had this beautiful joining with you, Helena, and with Susanna. And I don't know, you guys were so relaxed, and you were like, no, it's about the present moment. It's about trust. And I don't know, you were kind of like showing that to me in a way that I could accept it. Like, you got all these ministers coming. You don't need to have the stage ready. You don't need to have anything ready. It's now. It's don't sacrifice this present moment for future outcome. And then, I don't know, it was a total miracle, total shift in my mind, because I got this prayer, but with an authority and with a joy, and it was demonstrate trust. And since that dropped into my mind, it was like such a radical, complete shift, because it's not letting go of what you don't want, but it's demonstrate trust and teach what you would learn. Just trust that everything's provided in this moment, and I don't know, I got so extremely happy. And I was like, we're ready now for the ministers, because our heart is wide open. We have beds here. We can get food. We can even do without a stage. We can do without, it's about our heart, and it's about this this present feeling. And since then, I don't know, it's like I'm in a very good state of mind, because things keep on, it's never what you envision it to be, but this giving up of a fantasy of how things should look and then getting like uptight about it, it's gone. It's like, I don't know, it's miraculous. But it was that joining with you and Susanna where I was like, yeah, that was the shift that I needed, and the confirmation for my mind, like, hey, you're not responsible. This is on spirit. It's not on you. And you can relax and you can let go and just stay, like even reminding me of like this joy that I felt with the whole vision that I had, because I was losing sight of that with all the preparation. So yeah, I don't know. It's still, I'm still like, I'm still in a miracle. Yeah.
I hear you. You guys have morning meetings and you're sharing the miracle and everybody's inspired by it and everybody is blessed by it. But I thought it was so beautiful when we talked about it in this context, even with divine providence, that yeah, it's like beyond the physical needs, like it goes like totally into the realm of the mind, but it still gets met in a way that we can relate to it. You had this prayer for relaxation and connection, and then the ego locks into how it's meant to look. But when we open up, you could see, oh my God, the answer it's already given. Like the divine providence, we are always in divine providence, and the answer is already there, and you just heard it. It just came down with such authority. You said, like, demonstrate trust, but it was always there and you were ready to hear it. And now that is going to be continuing to be the answer, and it's still a blessing, and everything, I don't know, will just be orchestrated still. But I thought it was a beautiful testimony how divine providence actually works that level, and that we can allow these deeper feelings of responsibility be washed away. So thank you for
thank you. It's beautiful.
Strawberry Fruit Fiesta. It's about the present moment. It's not in the future.
It is. It's now.
It's now. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Behind you too. Sweet. Thank you. Beautiful. I'm gonna go to gallery view here, but when I started joining, I think with you, Jason, a couple of days ago, maybe, about the session, and you were starting to share about competition and then divine providence, and the way you were sharing about it, I was like, whoa. And I think what really touched me was this idea that there is only one source, and in the idea of competition, it's the belief that there's another source than God. And when you put those two together, I was like, oh my God, like I just had this experience, and then this memory, just kind of the steps that I've been taking over these last few years. And it's like, okay, maybe you can share, you said. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I've never shared about this before. I never shared about these parables, but I'm actually really grateful, because I just went into an experience even right before the session of such gratitude, and just for all the steps that we are guided to take to come into this experience of divine providence that is so complete. It includes the needs seemingly that we believe in, and it's a state of mind, and it's, I don't know, my mind, it's just all encompassing. Like, it's relationships, it's funds, it's whatever we need, it's our state of mind. But I was just going back like, what is my parable? And so I came to community in 2018, and a little bit before then I quit kind of the worldly jobs, and I had one last temporary job to have some money to come to Strawberry Fields Festival at the time in Utah. And so those funds were really going towards that. And since I came to community, the focus was really on mind training and service and devotion and giving through projects and communication. And including stewardship of the funds that I still had at the time. And then at some point, a few years later, my biological father passed away, and I received a bigger inheritance, and I had a lot more. I always had a little bit of money, more money. It's always been kind of back and forth, but always underneath it, like a stewardship. Like I want the funds to be used for my awakening. That was many, many years. A lot of funds went towards that. And so when the inheritance came in, I was really praying, like, okay, Jesus, what do you want with this? It's under your guidance, it's under your stewardship. It doesn't matter if it's $5 or thousands of dollars, there's no difference. I want to give it over to you. And I had to really get in touch with my prayer. And my prayer at the time was, and I just heard it's like, no more plan Bs. I felt like he told me, no more plan Bs. I said, okay, no more plan B. So I actually felt guided to donate most of my funds. And I heard some parables from people who had donated their funds previously, and after they donated, their minds was completely clear from any thought of funds or money and no more fear. And I thought, great, I want that. So I donated my funds, and after I was like, I still have money thoughts. Damn. Like, I was reminded of my prayer. Like, the actual prayer was no more plan Bs. Like, and that prayer got answered immediately. My commitment and my devotion felt much, much deeper. My commitment to the community in my own heart was much, much deeper. A lot of my focus was more on communication rather than projects. So I really felt a deepening, but I still had a little bit of funds and I still had money thoughts. It can go larger, it can go smaller. But it wasn't really a focus for me. So I just kept focusing every day, like what is right in front of me, like my mind training, giving, extending, communicating, miracles. Like it wasn't a focus in my mind. And then last summer, I had, I think, about $150 left in my account, which was, I think the last time I had that was when I was 14, because I started working when I was 14. I probably had more money when I was 14 years old. And I was at the monastery at the time, and I was overseeing Strawberry Fields Festival last year, and my funds went down for me that low. And I don't even know. I would say it was grace. I went into this experience of complete joy, overflowing joy. And I think I was in the cabin, and nobody was with me. And it was just in that moment that I realized my cup is empty. My cup is empty. And my cup is empty. God can fill my cup now. And I was in such ecstatic joy in that moment. And I felt so full of gratitude because I felt I was lacking absolutely nothing. I was given a full function of joining, collaborating, communicating, and my heart was so full. And I don't even know if I've ever had an experience like that before. And to me, it felt so beautiful because I could just see when I was praying about this today, it's like, wow, it wasn't the act of donating funds that gave me an experience. If I tried to do something with even a slight intention of getting an experience, that is not it. It's not it. And not that I was conscious at the time because I had another prayer, but when I let it all go and I was so fully given over to the Spirit in my function, that's when the experience of divine providence truly came in for me. And it continues. Like a few days ago, I was on the couch here and I was so in the present moment, and I couldn't care less of what was happening. And some people were going out for dinner here in the house, and I was like, okay. And I was the only one, I think, that wasn't communicating. But I was on the couch, like, I'll go if I'm invited. But I was so in bliss. I had no investment. Like there was just this feeling everything is so fully provided. And then I remembered that was actually my prayer as a little child, when I was a little girl, I just had flashes of memories come back that I was crying before the session because I thought, oh my God, my prayer has been answered. Like, I want to know that you provide for me. I want to know that you are my source. I want to know that I don't have to work in any egoic way to be taken care of. So, but yeah, I was just thinking about this song from the movie we just watched, Testament of Anne League. And I know that one song touched me so much, I Hunger and Thirst. I don't know if you guys remember when she was in prison, she sang, I hunger and thirst. An ocean I seek without bottom or shore. Feed me, I'm hungry. Enrich me, I'm poor. I hunger and thirst. But I don't know, something feels so deep about that, like the divine providence is really there. It's really on that level, and it just takes care of absolutely everything. And I don't know, I'm just so grateful that I get to testify that and say, oh my God, I am so grateful for this path, to be in this experience every single day, that everything is provided for. And so, yeah, thank you. And thank you, Jason, for inviting me to share.
Thank you, Helene.
Yeah, as I was thinking earlier, the name of God is my inheritance. When I thought about inheritance, like the name of God is my one inheritance. That's our one inheritance. So, yeah, thank you. And I think we're going to pass it on to Lorena, who has a beautiful parable too about divine providence. So I'm going to pass it on to you now. You want to?
I could even introduce it a bit, just that when Helena and I were talking about this, we thought, okay, Helena seemed to have funds and had this miracle. And then Melly, or not Melly, Erpi, who will be coming on later a little bit for Melly, she said, and Lorena has a divine providence miracle, and she had no money. So here's Lorena's miracle.
Sí, hola a todas.
Hi everyone. Hi everyone.
Sí, yo siento que para mí, voy a pasarlo también
Yeah,
en
I feel,
galería.
yeah, I'm going to put in gallery.
Sí, siento que este tema de la
I feel
divina
that this
providencia
theme
para
of
mí
divine providence for
ha sido
me
muy presente
has
desde
been
que
very
siento que di
present
un sí muy
since
grande
I
a
feel I
entregar mi
gave a
vida por
big
completo para
yes
sanar mi
of
mente, resolver
of giving my life to
enseñanzas.
Jesus and heal my
Y
mind and
venía a mi
follow the
mente
steps
estos
that are
días que me uní
being
con Urpi
given.
antes de
And
esta sesión.
recently I joined with Urpi and it came to
Hace
my
2 años y
mind
medio cuando vine por primera vez
2 years and a
al
half
retiro aquí a
ago
la casa
when I came to the
de
first retreat here
milagros.
at La Casa
Yo estaba en un momento
de
en el
los
que estaba
Milagros.
dejando ir mi trabajo. Para
I
mí mi
was in a
trabajo era
moment in which I
mi
was letting go of
identidad,
my
era
job,
mi
and
fuente
that
de
job was my
sustento. Yo sentía que el
identity, was my
trabajo,
source
sí, era
of
mi vida,
of
yo había
money, and
puesto
I
toda mi
felt this was
inversión,
my life,
pero
and
no
I
era
had put
feliz.
all my
Y
investment
antes
in
de
that
venir,
job,
yo había
but I
tomado la
wasn't
decisión
feeling
de dejar
happy.
ese trabajo.
And before coming, I had
Y
already
al dejar
taken the
ese
decision of
trabajo,
letting go of that job.
tomé la
And
decisión
by
de venir
letting
aquí
go
al
of that
retiro
job and
y
taking
tenía
the
muchas
decision of
preguntas en
coming
mi
here
mente,
to
como, ok,
this
yo siento que esta es la
this
dirección,
retreat,
pero no
I had a
sé,
lot of
o sea,
questions in my
tenía como
mind,
da
like,
miedo de
okay,
todas
I know
maneras,
this
como
is the
no
direction,
tengo
but
ahorros,
I don't
el
have
dinero que yo
savings.
recibía
I
cada mes
feel
me lo gastaba en el
fear,
mes, o sea,
like,
vivía del
because
mes a mes, no tenía ni
every
siquiera
month I
de
would
que, como
receive
para
money and I
de
would
dónde
spend
iba a
that
venir mi
money. I didn't
sustento
had
para este
any
cuerpo.
savings, so I was
Y cuando vine a
thinking,
este
from where
retiro,
is the money going to come from
fue
for
tan
this body?
profundo y
And
sentí a
when
ese
this
David
retreat
respondiendo de una
came,
manera
it
muy
was so
profunda
deep, and I
esta
felt that
oración en mi
David
corazón.
answered
Me
in
ayudó
such a deep
muchísimo
way for
porque me
this
acuerdo que
prayer I
David me
had in
dijo,
my call, this
tú,
prayer I had in my
porque como
call.
a
And
mí
I
me
remember
quedaban, yo había
David
renunciado, pero me
told me,
quedaban 2 meses de trabajo.
I had
Me
quitted
dijo,
already my job,
tú
but I
dale
still
estos
had
2
two
meses
months of
a
work.
Jesús.
And
Tú
David
pon
said,
todo tu corazón
you
y
give those
confía
2 months to
y
Jesus.
simplemente
You
dale
put
estos
all
2
your
meses.
heart and
Pon
and
todo tu
trust in
corazón y vas a
Jesus
ver qué va a
with all your
pasar.
heart. Just give everything
Eso
to
sintió muy
Jesus.
poderoso para mí.
That felt very powerful for
Yo
me.
volví a mi país, a
I came
Colombia,
back to
y
Colombia,
la oración
and
fue
the
respondida
answer
muy
and
rápido
the
y Jesús
prayer
muy
was
rápidamente me
answered
empezó a mostrar
very
que yo
quickly, and
estaba
very
siendo
quickly
sostenida
Jesus
por él.
started to show me
En
that
ese
I was being
momento,
sustained
los
by him.
símbolos
In
del
that
sostén
moment, those
vinieron a través de
the
una
symbols
pareja que
of
se me fue
being
a dar en ese momento, que
sustained,
también
of being
fue un
supported,
símbolo
came
precioso,
through
pero al mismo tiempo
a
obviamente,
partner.
porque
At that time, I
necesitaba ir más
was I was with that partner, and then in that moment, also a little bit later, that partner also had to go because I had to go deeper. But in that moment, he was so helpful also to see what was in my mind. And also the fun seemed to come through him. And Jesus was showing me all the symbols that were like start to shift and like being orchestrated. And I was with this partner and I could give all my heart. I could give all my heart, like Helena was saying, and I gave all my heart to the collaborations with this community, and I start to put my entire heart, and I start to feel all this upliftment with through these collaborations, and I start to feel this presence and this joy through the collaborations until a point in which I came to a point where I had this desire of traveling, and with this partner we start to travel, and including we went to Brazil when this relationship with this partner was starting to finish, and it was so finished because of the timing, because David and Urpi came to Brazil. In that time I had no idea, and that retreat with David and Urpi helped me so much to get in touch with this deep desire of living a life of devotion, of living in community, because that team was so present in my mind. And after that partner went away, it got undone, that relationship. And then a big step for me was to come back to Colombia and spend time with my family. And I felt that step. I had avoided that step all my life, and I spent 4 months with my family. And that also was Jesus telling me, I'm also sustaining you. Now I'm supporting you, because I did not have any money at all, no money at all in that moment in my bank account. But my family, and I had left my house, my family many years ago, and my family, they took care of everything. They gave me a place to live, they gave me money, they gave me the space for me to give my whole time to the collaborations. And I feel that time was so deep, and the most valuable thing for me is that the desire of my heart became clear so strongly. And I had this symbol of community and wanting to come to Mexico and live here in Mexico. I wanted to be a resident. It was so strong in my heart. But in that moment, I did not have any funds to come, and I also had a debt of $3,000, and I needed like a symbol of a cleansing, a washing in my mind. So one of that symbols was to pay that debt. And what one of the guidances that came was make a GoFundMe to collect money to pay that debt, and also pay the tickets, the airplane tickets, and be able to come here. And so I was joining a lot with Melly, with Urpi. They were like helping me, and it felt so joyful and so deep. And it was so amazing, because the day I posted that GoFundMe, within hours, I received all the money that I needed. It was like incredible, and it was immediate. I received the money, I received the tickets were given, I could come to Mexico. Then I feel that I never missed anything. And I had this experience of when my desire is clear, when I know what I want, all the symbols come in such an easy way, and I did not even had to think about anything. And divine providence also is, for me, is the relationships, the functions that are given. It's all given for me to heal my mind. And it's so beautiful.
Thank you,
to
Lorena.
remember I'm always being taken care of, and I can relax.
Yeah, that's what we wanted to hear, was that even when you don't have funds and you seem to have debts, that it can just magically be taken care of, miraculously, really. And yeah, to have that same experience of being happy in your function. So you're a great demonstration of that. Thank you.
Gracias.
Okay. Yeah, well, we actually have another skit for you now on another topic on family. So let's play the skit from Eric. Another one.
Okay, just doing a little more research into this David Hoffmeister guy. Who is my father's son, sister, brother? He who does the will of my Father in heaven. Oh, so like you can't even have like regular family anymore? Like I can't like love my daughter? Is that what you're saying, David? This is just like weird stuff here. Yeah, no, I'm done with this stuff. These people are going down.
Okay, so we thought we'd play that because that is the ego's interpretation of what happens when it's like, I've got to let go, I've got to sacrifice. The belief in sacrifice is so deep. But actually, what David keeps saying is it's about including everybody. So notice how the character's reaction was, what am I going to have to let go of? It's because you've asked for so little. And all you can feel is the love between the way the ego set it up. And it's really a false sense of safety and security. And Jesus is calling us to live in a much, much bigger way. And we have someone coming on to share a little bit about someone, she took the risk. Maybe we just actually do it right now. Bring on Melly and Erika, because Melly, hi Melly. Melly took the risk. After all the years we've known each other, I actually made a prayer to learn Spanish one day. And I thought, I don't want to learn books through books. I want to have deep heart-to-heart connections. So can you send me somebody? Within a couple days, you had applied to come to the community and were put in charge of the kitchen. And I was seemingly over the kitchen. I don't know that I ever did a good job with the kitchen. But anyways, you and I had to join a lot and you didn't speak any English. So for me, I had a beautiful time. Somewhere inside of me, Spanish came out and we were talking about boyfriends and love and just really deep things. And I didn't even know the Spanish words, but we understood each other. So you, over the years, you spent some time with us, and then, the longing for your son came up and you wanted to go back. And I think you did 1 or 2 times, but then one time you wanted to go back and we all prayed on it together and felt, I think there's something deeper here. There's a guilt that is likely driving this. Are you willing to join in a deeper way? And maybe this is where I can hand it over to you or you and Erika, because you followed that guidance and had a miracle. So over to you.
Sí, siento que es muy,
I
muy
feel
hermosa
it's
la
so
experiencia que
beautiful
Melly
the
tuvo
experience
con
that
su
Melly
hijo,
had with his son,
porque
with her
desde
son,
un inicio
because
fue,
from the beginning was
hay una
like
culpa
there was like
inconsciente
this unconscious guilt,
que no soy buena
like I'm not a
madre
good
o no le
mother,
dediqué tanto tiempo a
I
mi
didn't
hijo.
dedicated the time
Y
enough
cuando
for my
ella empezó a tener
son.
una relación
And
más
then she
profunda
started to
con
have
Gabriel,
a
mi
relationship,
hijo,
a deeper
como
relationship
que
with
sintió su
her
llamado
son,
muy
Gabriel.
profundo de
So
venir a la
she
comunidad.
felt this deep, deep
Entonces,
calling to
y
come to the
aquí
community.
fue para ella
And this was
un
for
gran salto de fe,
Melly a
un gran
big,
salto de
big leap of
rodillas, de
faith
decir, ok,
and say,
ir, sumergirse en una profunda
like,
oración
go
y ver qué
deeply
cosa le
into
el
the
Espíritu Santo
prayer and
en
see
ese
what
momento. Entonces,
this Holy
podemos
Spirit
empezar por ahí, Meli, compartiendo
said in that
brevemente
moment. So
cómo fue
Melly,
ese
maybe
primer salto de fe
you
que
can
tuviste.
share a little bit about that first leap
Sí,
of
para
faith.
mí fue
Leap of faith.
sí, muy profundo
Yeah, I feel that for me it was
porque con
very
esta
deep
creencia en mi
because
mente
with this
de yo
belief in my
no había
mind
sido una
that
buena
I
madre,
was not a
que no había
good
pasado
mother
mucho tiempo
enough,
con él,
I didn't spend enough time with
eh,
him. I wanted to fix it by being a good mother and spend a good time and a lot of time with him. But I kept feeling this feeling, the same feeling of guilt. And it was such a deep prayer in my heart for the Holy Spirit, to the Holy Spirit. I really want to be happy, but I don't really know how. And in that deep, deep prayer, the steps start to be given to me to start to undo that belief in my mind and start to trust that every step that was given was being given to go towards that undoing was really the way how I could help. That was how I could help. And I heard really in my mind very strongly, this is the strongest way you can help your son, is to heal your mind and start to undo all these beliefs and undo this guilt in my mind. And this was like a moment I start to go so deep with the Holy Spirit and start to take my steps. And so many times my son start to reflect these thoughts in my mind of doubt. He started to reflect these thoughts of doubt in my mind. But that was in each moment. That is the only way in which I will be able to liberate this guilt that was in my mind.
Sí, pero ese fue muy hermoso porque a través de ese salto
Yeah,
de
it was
fe
very
que
beautiful
diste,
because
a
through
través
that leap of faith that you
100% en tu
did,
Espíritu
Holy
Santo,
Spirit, I
a
trust
pesar
100% in
de
you.
del deseo en tu corazón de sentirte muy
And
unido
that
con el Señor,
desire, even if you
sabías
had that
que la
desire in your
unión
heart
estaba
of
mucho
being
más
very
allá de los
connected with
cuerpos,
your son,
que la unión que
Gabriel,
realmente
you knew
existía era
that
sentirte
you
uno
knew
con Él.
that the
Realmente
connection that
yo
you
me
were
quedé en la
longing
experiencia
for was
de más
much
allá de roles
deeper,
de mamá
was
e
much
hijo.
deeper than the roles of mother and
Entonces
son.
viniste para
And
acá
so
y hubo esas proyecciones de
you
Gabriel
came here to this
al
community,
inicio.
and in the beginning there was this projection of
Eso
Gabriel.
lo que quería
Yeah,
experimentar, como
that is
realmente
what I wanted
sentirme en esa unidad
to
con él,
experience.
no desde
I
esta
wanted to feel in
madre
this
tengo ego,
unity
sino
with him, this
desde esa
union with him,
libertad.
not from a place
Y
of roles
cuando
of
yo me empecé
mother
a
and son. I
empecé a
wanted to connect from
introducirme
a
a ese,
place
hacer
of
ese rol de madre,
freedom. And when
hubieron
I
muchos
came to
momentos de
community,
pensamientos de
there was
duda que ella
many
reflejaba, pero
doubt
para
thoughts
mí en
that
esos
he started
momentos
to
era
reflect, like doubt
confiar,
thoughts,
ir más profundo
mother
en la
concepts.
confianza,
And
en
in
la
those
fe,
moments was
en la
really for me
confianza y
to
en la
go
fe. Y en
deeper in the
muchos
trust
momentos él me
and the
decía, ese
faith.
curso de
And many
milagros, la
times he's
demoniera,
told me,
ese
my
curso de
son,
milagros me
the
quitó a mi
course A
madre,
Course in Miracles
ese
is
curso
the
de
demon.
milagros.
It took my
Pero para
mother
mí en esos
out.
momentos era
But for me in that
literalmente en ese
moment was to
momento como
watch
lo que
my
me
mind
tocaba
and
y
see what
entregárselo al
was
Espíritu Santo y
triggering me
seguir
and
yendo
give
profundo y
that to the
profundo. Y
Holy
siento que cuando
Spirit
empezó a
and
venir esa
start to continue
transformación
and
en mi
go
mente
deeper.
empezaron a ocurrir
And in
muchos
that
milagros.
moment, I felt that a
Porque
transformation
desde un
started
momento en
in
el
my
que
mind.
yo
And
no
I
quería
started to
saber
experience
nada
a
de
lot
Dios,
of
o sea, no
miracles
quería que
because
me
in a
hablara nada
moment,
acerca
he had
absolutamente
no
nada de
desire to
Dios,
know
del
about God
amor.
or A Course in
Él estaba
Miracles
con
or love.
completa,
He was in total
como,
denial
obviamente,
of the course. Like obviously he
proyectando
was
todos sus
like
miedos,
projecting all
pero para
his
mí era
fears, but for me it was like
confiar,
just trust,
confiar y seguir el
trust and
llamado de mi
keep
corazón,
following the
no
calling
seguir
of
con el
your
llamado de
heart
mi
and
corazón
don't
y seguir
compromise with
profundo,
the
porque yo
prayer of
sabía que
your
era la
heart,
única
because
manera en que yo
I knew it
realmente
was the
podía
only
ayudar
way that I could
a mi
really
hijo.
help my
Y,
son.
y
And
fue
it
como
was
en mi
like my
mente, como
mind,
confiar y confiar, porque
trust
muchas
in
veces yo
my
intenté
mind.
meterle el curso de milagros a
And
él,
I
pero sabía que
tried to
ahí
introduce so
era
many
como
times
que
A Course in
siempre
Miracles to my son, but
recibía como un
many times,
rechazo
like
y en
I,
ese momento fue
all the
confiar
time
y
he was
dejar ir todo
rejecting
completamente.
everything I would say about A Course in
Y
Miracles.
luego
So in a moment, I let it all
Gabriel
go.
empezó
I
a
let it
venir
all
hacia mí,
go. And in that
a
moment,
preguntarme
gradually, he started to
sobre,
come towards me and
a
ask
pedirme como
about A
consejos,
Course in Miracles and ask me for
a decirme,
advices
Melly, tengo una
and
amiga
say,
que
Mom,
está
Melly,
pasando muchas
I
situaciones
have a friend
de
that
mucha
is going
oscuridad
through a
y yo
lot
le he
of
hablado de ti, de
darkness,
que tú
and I
mantienes muy
spoke about
feliz,
you,
de
that
que
you
si
are
hablas con
very
mi
happy,
mamá,
and maybe you
yo sé
could
que
help, Mom, you could help. You
tú te
could
vas
help
a sentir
speak with her,
mejor.
with my
Y para
friend.
mí
And I told to my friend, if you speak with my friend, if you speak with my mother, you will feel better. And that was like a reflection of me not compromising in my mind and follow the Holy Spirit and keep on doing all these roles. And then recently, he is with a partner and she is a Christian, and so they go together to the church, and he's saying, Mom, love is God is just love. And I was, oh my God, from the moment that he was like totally rejecting God to now where he's coming towards me telling me these things. And he also says, yeah, I start to watch my thoughts. I have a group with my friends and we start to watch our thoughts together, and this was such a deep transformation.
Yeah. Y ahora es como él te mira con ojos de wow,
Yeah, and now the theme of like just
cuando hay momentos
like it's a
difíciles,
constant
me puedes
help,
ayudar,
like
cómo
when
puedo
there's
ver
difficult
esto,
moments,
siento que es una
can you
persona
help me?
completamente
How can I look at
transformada
this
y esto
in a
es
different
una
way? And I
conexión
feel
súper
this is
fuerte. Cuando entregamos el
a
Espíritu Santo,
relationship that was
todo,
so
todo está
transformed when we give it over to the Holy Spirit. Yeah, yeah. He recently he wrote a letter and he said because he many times he told me, you abandoned me, you left me alone. But for me it was to start to look at all these beliefs in my mind of abandonment, of being a bad mother. And when I start to go so deep, he started to say, he wrote in the letter, I don't want, and I want to forgive. I want to forgive all these thoughts in my mind of believing that you abandoned me. When he wrote that to me, I felt that so deeply in my heart because I was taking he was taking total responsibility for his thoughts.
Mm,
Mm.
hermoso.
Mm.
Muchas gracias por compartir.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, Melly.
Oh, thank you, Melly.
Mm.
It's such a beautiful demonstration of trust and faith, and yeah, to really trust the plan of the Spirit and not be led by guilt to go and fly back and see your son when truly it's not the calling of your heart. And yeah, you just stayed and faced the thoughts. You faced it in the mind. And then what a beautiful reflection. Like, it's never about the outcome, but the reflection shifted. You know, your son started to witness back that healing that had happened in a deeper way for you. And yeah, it's just very inspiring. So thank you so much. And I think, yeah, next we'll just pass it back over to Jason. He's going to share a little bit more context about this, and yeah, just really look at facing the fear of love and how that can play out in different ways. So, yeah.
Thanks, Emily. Yeah, thanks. You've heard all these testimonials. We really wanted to convey where I was, what happened, and where I am now. Just like the disciples in The Chosen did a video, if you've seen The Chosen. And over these last days and weeks, you've been seeing all these videos about people that met David and where they were, what happened when they met him, and where they are now. So we just really wanted to convey these around kind of challenging issues with divine providence and family, just that where they were, what happened, and where they are now. So I'm going to go into another topic now, because this whole session is a levels of mind for the world. And there are many ways that fear can arise. So we talked about this earlier, but no one in this distracted world but has seen some glimpses of the other world about him. This is from the Course. Yet while he still lays value on his own, he will deny the vision of the other, maintaining that he loves what he loves not, and following not the road that love points out. So the deeper we go, we can actually see, if we're open to looking at the witnesses, the love that, the road that love points out. But if you still value your own, you have to start to see the contrast of which one's bringing you pain and which one is not. Jesus in the Course talks about everyone on earth has had a glimpse of love or the world beyond. And we've seen in community with people coming and going, how the ego tries to twist that love. Or say that it never happened. I even wanted to, when I thought about this, I thought of my own experience. Some of you might have heard, I was going in for a surgery, and the surgery got redirected because of something with my heart was going, it was double speed and all over the place. So they wouldn't do the surgery. And I ended up having this, I don't know what to call it, but like it was a beatific or something. It was really good experience where I just felt I was with all my friends and only love was real. And there literally is no world. It's not like God tries to help us in the world. God literally does not know about this world. It was like a state of mind where there is no world. And it's such a struggle to get back. But after I had that experience, within hours, I forgot that it even happened. And maybe it was drug induced or I made it up. It was a fantasy. And I've heard these stories over the years that you can take these very beautiful experiences and the ego you forget them and the ego hijacks it. And it works that way with miracles too. You know, did it ever happen? Did I ever have that change? Did I go through a change? Did they really love me, or were they wanting something from me? Like if, a lot of angels get sent your way and you can just feel the love and you go towards the intimacy. Then the next day, I don't know about those people. Did they just want something from me? See how the ego can take something that is love calling witnesses, and it completely flips on itself to the very thing that love was bringing you was now an ego motive, because the ego inside your mind has to project the getting mechanism onto others. So of course, others want something from you. So we're facing that, all the time in our miracle working and with people coming and going from community. So this is where the next skit comes in, is a few of you have asked for what is healing touch. So again, our crack SNL team made this beautiful skit for you, and just keep these thoughts in mind, because we need thousands of reminders to keep the miracle and the Holy Spirit alive. Because in the miracle, we're fine. In the ego, no miracles. No miracles now, and there never were miracles. It's not like, oh yeah, I had a bunch of miracles, but I don't now. In the ego, you never had miracles. That's how brutal it is. So that's why it's so important to keep our mind in extension and get out of that state of mind. Because you're either never had any miracles or a tiny little glimpse, it might say. It's like, but it's nothing or everything. So all the love is going to come to this character that's going to go through. You're going to see them going through a healing touch. It's actually a real healing touch, and see what happens here.
my God, like, that is just too much touching. That is just way too much. That is disgusting. I'm gonna expose these people. That is just, there's something very wrong about what they're doing there. That's just gross. Yeah, I'm gonna make another video soon with some other details I'm finding out about these people. And one more thing. Why are they so like loving and like, why is there so much emotion public? Like that guy who was crying at the beginning, like, like that's just not, that's so intimate, that should not even be public. Why do they make that public on YouTube? Like putting it out there for everyone. That is not, oh my God. I just realized they're using that to try to recruit people. Like they try to be so loving, they recruit people. Oh my God, I'm going to expose these people. Oh my God, this is so wrong. Okay, I'm going to make more videos. I'll get back to you soon.
It's so good. Oh, thank you, Princess Erika. Well, what is a healing touch? You saw it. They just whisper little words in your ear, like you're the son of God. I love you. You're safe. You know, you can relax. Why? Because the ego is beating us up all the time. Isn't it nice to have a little replacement? And you heard Raphael's testimony, and Helena's going to come on in a sec, because for some, this is literally a life-changing moment. I mean, when I first went through this, it was 400 teenagers when I was a youth minister, and they said, hey, we're going to do this healing touch. And they show, and I was like, oh my God, I could like feel something beyond time and space. It was amazing. So I got a course quote to read. Vision will come to you. Give them a second. Vision will come to you at first in glimpses, but they will be enough to show you what is given you who see your brother sinless. Truth is restored to you through your desire, as it was lost to you through your desire for something else. Open the holy place that you closed off by valuing the something else, and what was never lost will quietly return. It has been saved for you. Vision would not be necessary had judgment not been made. Then desire now its whole undoing, and it is done for you. So people that go through these really are desiring a deeper experience. And when I was praying about this session, Helena had one to share, so we could bring her on. Just what was it like for you when you, because we'd met in Europe, and actually at the time I invited you for some traveling, and you were a little bit like, hold on here. What do you what do you want from me? Because I had these gatherings set up. But then we ended up meeting again at Kirsten's and Ricky's retreat, where we did a healing touch. So
Yeah, it was when we started talking about this skit, and just the angel bath, that memory came back to me, that at that retreat with Kirsten, and you were there, that was my first experience of like a healing touch session. It's a little different from an angel bath, but the essence is exactly the same. And yeah, just this memory came back that I think we were sitting in a circle on the floor, and then we all had our eyes closed, and then people would go around, and you would just like, I can't even remember if I actually physically was like, it would have been so light, like, but it was such an experience, not of this world. That was my experience. I felt held, like, even I would say like an infant, but it was even more than an infant. Like, it just felt so soft, and I felt so safe. And I remember that, and I keep thinking it was you or Kirsten, or maybe both of you at some point, were probably behind me. But it didn't feel like it came from you. It came through you. And it was like an essence or a presence that I had not felt like that before. And yeah, when we were talking. It's like, wow, that's a whole different way of even relating with touch, or like it was so soft. And yeah, it just cracked me open. It was a whole new experience for me in that moment. It wasn't personal, it wasn't interpersonal, it wasn't even physical, even though maybe that's these really sweet, like very, very soft, like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like I got in touch with an essence that was so soft in myself, but it felt like, yeah, just not of this world experience. And it opened me up. And yeah, I feel very grateful for that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I think it's important to verbalize this because, it's reminding me actually of we had a gentleman who did live with us in our community for a number of years. About 10 years ago, he left, but he lived with us for quite a number of years. And actually recently, the past few years, expressed a fear of love through a book that was quite unflattering to our community. But he had a glimpse of love. He actually went through one of these experiences, and he ended up making, not necessarily from this, but a half-hour video of all the connections that he's had in terms of joining with his brothers and the way that it brought him deeper. But he went on to make some podcasts and actually a flurry of social media posts that really allowed anybody to comment on those posts with whatever they wanted without knowing the full context. And I was praying on it actually at one point, and I thought, what is going on with all of that? And it's kind of like that skit, actually. The skit just demonstrated. But I feel that I'm going to call him Chuck, he got to a point where he didn't believe that the promises of the Course were true. He'd given himself over as best he could for so long. And then when you don't achieve what it is you when you don't get what it is you're looking for, because I've been just giving a context of how deep it is. You have to use experiences that actually brought you a glimpse of love and flip them on themselves, and you have to use them to justify a lack of forgiveness and justify a grievance. So I just feel his core grievance was that he did not attain what the Course was promising, and then of course would blame the community. He had a tremendous fear of dementia and losing his memory, and was forgetting a lot of things. He had a low self-esteem and like a lot of self-doubt. So when he left the community, he actually, he had to build a very strong identity of getting strength. And, I did this in relationships. When I first found out one of my partners liked confidence, I became confident, and it got used from the Spirit, but very quickly had to be undone and see that you can't fake confidence. Confidence comes from the Holy Spirit and knowing who you are. But again, when you decide against something, the Course is not true, you then have to justify a whole new self-concept to justify what your new frame of reference. And then everything you went through gets reframed. And and then he thought what he knew about the community, but it was just to compensate. And it's funny that, why this is even coming to mind partly is on the way down from Utah, I was on a plane, and Chuck was sitting behind me in my mind. And I looked and I was like, staring at him so long, like, and we're like, and he looked quite happy, and I was like, are you Chuck? And he's like, no, my name is da 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 da. And I was like, I couldn't believe it, but it just kind of like helped me write some thoughts out. And so I'm going to use Chuck's name, for the this terrible, because I want to talk about the dynamics of this underneath it again for healing and to allow us to not get trapped. So I found this section that I wanted to read from I'm entrusted with the gifts of God. All things are given you. God's trust in, I don't know if I said it, but this guy on the plane was a lookalike. It actually wasn't him. He was a complete doppelganger. But the voice and everything was identical. So it was just the perfect timing. God's trust in you is limitless. Unless your will is one with his gifts are not received. But what would make you think there is another will than his? Here is the paradox that underlies the making of the world. This world is not the will of God, and so it is not real. Yet those who think it real must still believe there is another will. And that's what I was talking about. As long as you believe in the world, that other will is given life. But every mind that looks upon the world and judges it as certain, solid, trustworthy, and true believes in two creators, or in one, himself alone, but never in one God. So you either believe in God and yourself, or just yourself, but you never believe in just God. And the gifts of God, which you could feel in that healing touch, are not acceptable to anyone who holds such strange beliefs. He must believe that to accept God's gifts, however evident they may become, however urgently he may be called to claim them as his own, is to be pressed to treachery against himself. He must deny their presence, contradict the truth, and suffer to preserve the world he made. That's how victimhood comes in. No to love, but in order to justify that, I must be a victim. And this is what happened to Chuck. He had to pull away and reframe everything. They wanted money from me. They wanted my service. But all of this is just to preserve the world, that love is not real, the course is not real, God is not real. Continue on with the course. The world is the only home. Someone who's forgotten themselves, that the world is the only home he thinks he knows. Here is the only safety he believes that he can find. Without the world he made, is he an outcast, homeless and afraid. He does not realize that it is here he is afraid indeed. It is actually this world where we're terrified. But we can cover that over, obviously. For people on this retreat, you've admitted the world is not that great a place. So you're an outcast wandering so far from home, so long away, you do not realize you have forgotten where you came from, where you go, and even who you really are. Yet, even here in this lonely, senseless, wandering place, God's gifts go with you, but unknown to you. You cannot lose them. You will not look at what is given you. You wander on. So I'm going to skip down to paragraph 6. He sees himself a sorry figure, weary, worn, in threadbare clothing, and with feet that bleed a little from the rocky road he walks. No one but has identified with him, for everyone who comes here has pursued the path he follows and has felt defeat and hopelessness as he is feeling them. And this gentleman, Chuck, was, actually there was a time when I remember he was sitting around the table, and one of our members of our community was running the group, and he asked to go to Walmart, use one of the cars, and the person running the group said, I don't feel that's a good idea right now. I don't know why. It just doesn't feel. We need to use the car for something else. And he tells the story, this gentleman, Chuck, tells the story later that he he was going to go to Walmart and buy it himself. So it was like the guidance of no, don't go to Walmart actually saved his life. But I think he forgets those stories. But this is what happened is that, once this parable or the book came out and the posts, our community actually was guided not to read them. I don't think anybody read the book. Nobody decided to read the posts. And we just decided this is going to be a greater opportunity to send out our miracle sunshine signal even farther. It's how do you deal with a call for love is you answer with more love and overlook the error. So it was a several-year journey for us really as a community to really practice defenselessness and not respond, not react at all. And I can tell you it was kind of glorious in a way to really have no concern for the world on that level. So I read this and it just really made me think of it. So paragraph 8. You cower fearfully lest you should feel Christ's touch upon your shoulder, healing touch, or any miracle, and perceive his gentle hand directing you to look upon your gifts. But if you accepted this, how could you then proclaim your poverty in exile? You can't. Christ would make you laugh at this perception of yourself. Where is self-pity then? And what becomes of all the tragedy you sought to make for him, whom God intended only joy? Christ's hand has touched your shoulder, and you feel that you are not alone. You even think, so this was Chuck, you even feel you're not alone. We know it. We know it in this community. We were so connected. Of course, we saw the suicidal tendencies. We saw the memory and everything, but so hundreds, thousands of counseling hours. And then, this is what happens on the journey. You even think the miserable self you thought was you may not be your identity. Perhaps God's word is truer than your own. Perhaps his gifts to you are real. And then what happened is David just felt so guided one day to just write a letter of gratitude to him, even after all this, just saying, thank you. Thank you for everything you've contributed. You helped with this, and I love you so much, and just put all this gratitude, and that's it. Sent the letter. And then David got a response back the next day from Chuck. And Chuck wrote, I don't know the name of the publisher, but he wrote, hi, let's just say the name of the publisher is Peter. Hi, Peter. I got this from David. Maybe I was wrong about everything. But he didn't send it to the publisher. He sent it to David. So David pours out this letter. Chuck writes back mistakenly, not intending it to go to David, and just said to his publisher, wow, maybe my whole book, maybe I got it wrong. So that when I read this part from the course, you may even think the miserable self you thought was you may not be true. Perhaps his gifts to you were real. Perhaps the gifts, so I'm going to keep reading. Notice the doubt. Perhaps he, God, David, has not wholly been outwitted by your plan, Chuck. He's going through it, to keep his son in deep oblivion and go the way you chose without yourself. So I just saw that as like an opportunity for the doubt to arise and be healed. 10, God's will does not oppose, it merely is. It is not God you have imprisoned in your plan to lose yourself. There was a need he did not understand to which he gave an answer. That is all. And you who have this answer given you have need no more of anything but this. So, yeah. Yeah, thank you for letting me share that and the insights that I felt I received. I think, yeah, I'm a little bit, because it's almost 8 o'clock and we have this beautiful song we want to play for you from Eric, and we had a commitment that if it got to this point, we would just wrap it up. But I also wanted to check if anybody had like a very important question on this this topic that they really felt was very important. Like, do you know that right now? Can anyone whose video is on? Does anyone have any question? If it's, you know it if it's immediate. If not, we're just going to wrap this up. But I just want to. Okay, great. Thank you. So we're going to go now back to Emily to kind of wrap this off for us here.
Thank you. Well, thank you everyone for being with us tonight. I'll put gallery view on again. Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, Eric is gonna sing us a song to end the session, and yeah, just to think into this deep presence. So have a beautiful, restful evening, and hope to see you all tomorrow at the movie with David. Good night.
Everything's falling apart, it seems, and I'm afraid of what may come. I cannot myself. All I can do is pray. I want you to guide me. I want you to make it clear. I know that you're with me, but sometimes I cannot hear when I'm scared, when I'm weak, when I am trying to run free. Please help me face my fear. I can't see where you are leading me, but I can feel your heart burning in love for me. So I trust that you know how I will make it back home. I don't have to try to go fast or slow. I want you to heal me. I want you to make it clear. I know that you're with me, but sometimes I cannot hear when I'm scared, when I'm weak, when I am trying to run free. Please help me face my fear. I think I'm afraid you won't love me, but truly I'm afraid that you will. 'Cause then I won't have an excuse for turning away when I hear you call me. When you call me back home to you. everything is falling apart, it seems. But now I can see that it was all for me, to bring me to joy, to bring me to peace, to remind